News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The 42-day shutdown affecting the Department of Homeland Security may be nearing an end. Senators approved funding for TSA and most other agencies except ICE. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer blamed Republicans for TSA workers not getting paid.
This long overdue agreement funds TSA, the Coast Guard, FEMA, CISA, strengthens security at the border and the ports of entry, and keeps Americans safe. This could have been accomplished weeks ago if Republicans hadn't stood in the way.
But Majority Leader John Thune says it was the Democrats who are to blame.
We are here because thanks to Democrats' determined refusal to reach an agreement, there will be no Homeland Security funding bill this year. Instead, just a few minutes ago, Republicans funded the Department of Homeland Security piecemeal. It's not the way to fund the department.
The measure now goes to the House for consideration. Israel has launched more strikes on Iran's capital and says its attacks will escalate and expand.
Israel's military says it's conducted a wave of strikes in the heart of Tehran, while smoke was seen billowing in the Beirut skyline after President Donald Trump delayed his threat to hit Iran's energy plants over the effective closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Israel has moved thousands of troops across the border into Lebanon, where Israeli officials say they want to take control of the entire area. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
Group of 7 foreign ministers have met in France to discuss the Russia-Ukraine conflict, with deep divisions apparent over the U.S.-Israeli war with Iran. Secretary of State Rubio joined his G7 counterparts there today, just 24 hours after the president's latest round of insults aimed at NATO. More on these stories at townhall.com.
A sacred season is approaching, a time to remember God's deliverance, the night he brought his people out of bondage and into freedom. Of course, I'm talking about Passover. Hi, it's Chris Stigall, and this year many of God's people will observe Passover under the shadow of war. Across Israel, red alert sirens pierce the air, and families are rushing to shelters with seconds to spare. The elderly fear they'll be left behind. Parents hold frightened children as explosions shake the night, sleepless and uncertainty. That's now part of their daily lives. But Passover reminds us that God hears the cries of his people and answers with love and compassion. That's why the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is on the ground in Israel, providing food and emergency supplies, equipping bomb shelters, and caring for the elderly and Holocaust survivors, bringing comfort and safety to God's children. Join Christians around the world in praying for Israel during this sacred Passover season, asking God to bring protection, comfort, and peace to the Holy Land. Visit supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
A brother and sister have been charged after an explosive device was found outside the home of U.S. Central Command in Florida.
U.S. Attorney Greg Keogh says a man who fled to China after allegedly leaving an explosive device outside MacDill Air Force Base has been indicted.
Alan Zhang, he's charged with attempted damage of government property by explosive, making a destructive device, and possession of a destructive device.
At a news conference, Keogh says Zhang's sister, who was arrested when she returned to Florida, also faces charges. Their mother was detained pending deportation. Agents say Zhang planted the device on March 10th, then made a 911 call saying there was a bomb at the base. He and his sister sold their SUV, bought tickets to China, and were gone by March 12th. It was March 16th before the device was found outside a gate.
The FBI safely removed the device and determined it was, in fact, an IED.
Audio courtesy WFTS. I'm Jennifer King.
News and analysis, townhall.com. The International Olympic Committee has announced it will restrict women's sports to biological females.
The policy will go into effect for the Los Angeles 2028 Olympic Games onwards. The IOC adopted as a standard a test for the gene associated with the sex-determining region Y protein, also known as SRY. The SRY gene is responsible for the initiation of male sex determination. Transgender activists have insisted that men who identify as women should be allowed to compete in women's sports. Critics have long argued, however, that women's sports must be kept separate to allow women to compete on a level playing field, and that men enjoy biological advantages that undermine fairness in women's sports. Bernie Bennett reporting.
A federal judge is weighing Fulton County's demand that the FBI return ballots and records from the 2020 election that were seized from an Atlanta area warehouse. Today, the judge plans to hear arguments after court-ordered mediation failed. More on these stories at
Right arm, right leg.
Left leg,
left arm.
Both legs above the knee.
Both legs, part of my left hand.
Lost both my legs in Iraq.
These 9/11 veterans are just a few of the heroes we serve at Homes for Our Troops. For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes with features like wheelchair access, roll-in showers, and pull-down cabinets that allow them to function independently and focus on their recovery and family. This life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans, thanks to our donors and supporters. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
He said, what do you think about the dope problem? And I said, definitely, I feel we have too many dopes.
First Thing Today by Joe Thomas on the Talk Media Network. All natural and free of artificial intelligence.
Joe works at steel mill, works damn near every day. Leaves for work when the sun comes up, drops a kid to school along the way. Joe has everything he dreamed of, all the treasures that he needs. No wonder Joe's always smiling, he only aims to please, yeah. Let me be your Joe.
Thank you for letting us be of service to you this morning.
I wanna be your Joe.
434-882-4217. That's how we do it. We'll tell you what went on last night. Then you can use that number, 434-882-4217, to tell us how it's impacting you, either by text message or with the traditional type of phone call there, and we'll chat. Or I will do my best, my Richard Burton best, to read your words as he did the Bard. Or you can send an email to jtinthemorningradio@gmail.com, coming to you from the Conservative Political Action Conference. And for those, you know, when you get an acronym, people, just like having a 3-day weekend, people forget what the acronym stands for. Conservative. What is conservative? And I know in years past, it was, a hornet's nest of differing opinions on what conservative means. And of course, you've got neocon, which is what people, will throw around for military hawks, folks like that. They'll say, oh, you're just a neocon. And that's an epithet to then disparage you, and then you have no opinion anymore. And all of these things, all of these dismissals, they bug me, because conservative means listen, decide, and don't do it to someone else. You don't impose your will on someone else. And anything, to me, that starts to impose somebody else's will on you, now that comes with a quid for the pro quo, of course, then you're also not going to get funding for it either. So that's the other side of it, is that you can't just expect somebody to pay for something and then not be held to some account for it. Because when they do that, then you're what's called a beggar, and you don't want to be a beggar. I know that. But we'll tell you what went on last night as we get our first things out in there, some doings in the Middle East, some clarity as well regarding presents and gifts left uncentered there. So we dive first into travel. President Trump said Thursday he's going to sign an emergency order instructing Homeland Security Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen to immediately begin paying TSA agents, as Congress still can't seem to get together on a deal to end the budget impasse, as Democrats have dug in their heels saying we want to get rid of ICE. Meanwhile, ICE officers have inflamed the American left, who are calling newspapers and writing op-eds all across the country how they're intimidated out of flying, and using ICE agents to check travelers' identification documents is causing people to be afraid if they travel. It should only make you afraid if you're not a documented citizen. Secretary traveling. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is off to Europe to meet with the group of 7 leaders in France. As he left, he said the Iranian negotiations are an ongoing and fluid process. This flies in the face of reports yesterday from the Iranian foreign minister, who was speaking for the Ayatollah and the Council of Experts, said, we're not looking at that 15-point plan. So we don't know exactly who they're discussing anything with, but they're discussing it with someone. He also said that the European leaders have to understand that the bombardment of Iran is their war as well. The other countries get far more of their fuel from there than we do, Rubio said as he headed off to the G7. President Trump said Thursday that Iran had allowed 10 oil tankers, mostly flying Pakistan's flag, to pass through the Strait of Hormuz as a goodwill gesture tied to the negotiations. That was the present that the president mentioned earlier in the week. San Francisco federal judge Thursday blocked the administration from enforcing a sweeping ban on artificial intelligence at the Pentagon from Anthropic. U.S. can continue to detain immigrants without bond, according to an appeals judge in St. Louis, overturning a lower court ruling that required that a native of Mexico arrested for lacking legal documents be given a bond hearing before an immigration judge. And the European Union Parliament voted Thursday to approve a trade deal that would set tariffs at 15% on most goods coming into the United States from the European Union. And those are some of our Friday morning first things here on the Talk Media Network.
Every state is home to significant historic sites that tell the American story, but not every site is telling that story honestly and fairly. That's why the Heritage Foundation created the Heritage Guide to Historic Sites. This interactive guide equips American citizens with the tools they need to enjoy the sites that depict some of the greatest moments in our nation's history, analyzing them for historical accuracy, and provides resources for families or educators planning a visit. It currently covers over 45 sites in the 13 original colonies. But sites from all 50 states will be added in time for citizens to celebrate America 250 this summer. From Mount Vernon to Independence Hall to Gettysburg and more, Americans deserve transparency, and sites that steward our history faithfully deserve our gratitude. The Heritage Guide to Historic Sites invites every American to rediscover the places and stories that define our nation, whether it's across the country.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
Come in. Oh, great master, I have traveled far to seek your wisdom. Speak to me.
Close the door. It's cold.
Sir, I crave the meaning of life.
How do you earn your bread, my son?
Well,
do you till the soil?
No.
Do you tend sheep?
I'm in advertising, sir.
Advertising. Fascinating.
Yes, sir, I'm in a big hurry. I have to be in Fiji tomorrow to shoot a television commercial.
Fiji?
Yeah, we found a place there that looks exactly like Columbus, Ohio.
Why not go to Columbus, Ohio?
Look, I'm just here for some wisdom.
All right, let me check my wisdom book, see what we can find.
Thank you. Yeah.
Go with radio.
What?
Looks to me like a fantastic buy.
I wanted important wisdom.
This is important. Listen, newspaper cost per thousand is up 99% since 1967. TV is up 90%,
Sir.
but radio cost is only up 38%.
38%.
And it says radio's audience is bigger than ever.
But what about happiness and stuff?
Use radio. It's great impact at a price you can still afford, and you'll be very happy.
That's it?
Yeah. And when you go out, close the door real tight because it's cold in here and I got a runny nose.
Next time you're talking to an authority on advertising, ask about radio. It's right on the button. A message from the Radio Advertising Bureau.
Tune in to the KAHI Corral every Saturday at 7 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
I did a petting zoo on the top floor of a skyscraper.
No.
Wait, they had the windows open because it's an old building. They don't have any air conditioning.
I'm still creeped out because I think animals fell out the windows, but they didn't.
Well, Reno did. He was
Wait, what?
on the windowsill with his head out the window.
Did he come when you
Walked
called
over
him?
very slowly, grabbed him, and pulled him back in and closed the windows.
Listen in to Connie and the Gang, and you'll never know what you're gonna find. Everything from pets in the studio, oh yeah, that's a real thing, to the advice you've come to count on. So join Connie and a cast of thousands on the KAHI Corral Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. here on 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Friday weather forecast, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s. Today, southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Partly to mostly clear skies and the low 50s overnight. Looks like the dry, sunny weather is going to last into the weekend. Temperatures well into the 70s, close to 80 Saturday and Sunday, and light breezes over the course of the weekend. We'll keep you updated. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Are you ready to explore the unexplained, dive into the bizarre, and journey to the other side of midnight? I'm Frank Morano, your host for the most compelling late-night talk show in America. From conspiracy theories to cosmic mysteries, from politics to pop culture, we cover it all, and then some. Join me weeknights from 2 to 6 a.m. right here on the Voice of the Foothills, FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI. Don't just stay up late. Stay curious.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
The American Cancer Society Discovery Shop needs your donations of new and gently used merchandise. Items include clothing, jewelry, bric-a-brac, home decor, and more. Donations are tax deductible and support cancer patients locally and nationwide. They also need volunteers daily. The Discovery Shop is located at 2376 Grass Valley Highway in Auburn. For more information, call 530-888-7434.
CT, MRI, and other radiology exams may cause anxiety and even fear if you don't know what to expect. Visit radiologyinfo.org. You'll find easy-to-understand, up-to-date information on more than 260 radiology procedures, exams, and disease descriptions. Radiologyinfo.org also offers patient safety information, medical images, and videos of radiologists describing how to prepare and what to expect. There's even a section for children called Rad Info for Kids. Radiologyinfo.org is free and does not require registration and is available in English and Spanish. Best of all, Radiologyinfo.org is continually reviewed by medical experts to ensure that it's accurate and up to date. Visit radiologyinfo.org today. Produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
San Francisco Giants baseball is on the Voice of the Foothills, KAHI, AM and FM.
And this is hit high and deep and out of here.
Into the bleachers, a two-run homer, 4-0 Giants. The throw to first, it's high, pulling the first baseman off the bag, and there's nobody at the plate. Jung-Hoo Lee very alertly sprints home to score the run.
On your to-do list, putting the radio on is the first thing today.
Wait, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, hey, Mr. Postman.
Go get this story about the Postal Service and their home delivery. I mean, it's a great case, but we're only entreing on this because I get letters. I get emails, I get texts, and I want to hit some of these because I know how mornings are, and not everybody has time to make a phone call about the news of the day or how it's impacting you, or perhaps something you've seen in it that just doesn't add up. But a couple of folks, emails and texts, jtinthemorningradio@gmail.com is how you do the email thing. And text messages to 434-882-4217. And this one, Florida was with, I guess, jumping off our conversation with the Texas values, Mr. Signs, just a few minutes ago before the top of the hour news. Florida was with Texas when Roe versus Wade was overturned. The supporters summit at Mises was led by Judge Andrew Napolitano, who led the talk with the words 63 million murders. That's the thing about abortion that makes it such a prickly issue. And I was detailing this. Oh, who was I talking to yesterday? But we were talking about a conversation I had with my daughter, and we were talking about a great Christmas conversation with you. Hey, about abortion. I don't think that's how we started the conversation, but we were at my sister-in-law's house, and her husband and my daughter and I were all kind of in the dining room, and somehow the subject came up. My brother-in-law is a huge talk radio fan, talk television fan, watches all the shows, knows all the people, and he brought up something that had happened in one of the states regarding the response after Roe versus Wade, which was the states need to come up with rules. You need to come up with a plan in your state. Virginia's is pretty horrific right now, but this was before they said, here, hold my beer. And my daughter said at the predicate of the conversation, Dad, I'm center left. And my brother said, well, that'll be interesting. I'm center right. And I said, well, let's put it to a test. And I used the abortion issue, since it had come up, as a test to see how center-left my daughter was. And the first question was, if you can hear a heartbeat, is that or is that not life? And my daughter said, no, that's life. I said, I'm sorry, kid, you're not center-left then. Because center-left is, well, how strong of a heartbeat is it? How do we know it's not just a ghost heartbeat? How do we know what that heartbeat would, how do we know how much tax revenue that heartbeat would generate for us? And all the other nonsense, some of it I'm making up. But as soon as my daughter said, okay, then you're not center left. You may be square on center, but you ain't left. And the heartbeat is what's been at the crux of this since the days of Roe. Here in Texas, where Roe v. Wade was first. And keep in mind, Ms. Roe has recanted her position on it, seeing what it had become. And nuance to this, people who watch the Supreme Court know this. Supreme Court rulings are often more about how the original court case was written. What was the original filing in the case? And in Roe's case, the attorneys, instead of talking about the right of the mother to live her life, the mail order contraception rights or anything else, argued that it was a medical privacy issue. So when you throw medical privacy in front of a Supreme Court in the 70s, there nowadays, believe me, the same Roe v. Wade adherents, the same Roe v. Wade cultists were the ones who wanted to make you all have to get a vaccine card to walk out the street and go down to your mailbox. That was and I said to the leftists in the audience, I said, are you ready to sacrifice Roe versus Wade on the altar of COVID. And they're like, what do you mean? We don't have to do that. I said, sure you do, because, I could sue under Roe v. Wade under the same premise. I'll just take the words from Roe versus Wade and said, y'all ain't got no right to know what I'm doing with my doctor. And because Roe v. Wade had become such almost an iconic ruling that people forgot what the ruling actually was, which was about the government's right to know what you were doing with a doctor there. But nobody, the mail-in, the mifepristone, the morning after pills, all this stuff have made this the new form of contraception. Do what you want, take a pill in the morning. What other precedents are we going to do about that? And it's debased the conversation of how do we get kids to not think that this is a good idea. Not that I'm prurient or anything like that. I'm just saying that, engaging in Congress, as the Kama Sutra puts it, has a biological outcome. And I don't think kids realize that. They figure the biological outcome is I take a mifepristone pill in the morning and I'm good to go. And guys love it. Guys love it because, the barrier system, we all hated the barrier system, right? Oh, it's so awkward. It impedes my groove, If it's got a heartbeat, it's a life. So I appreciate the text on that one. This one about the European Union. European Union got thrown out of Iran. Lots of people got thrown out of Iran. The point I was making was that it is Europe's conflict as much as it's anyone's. Who was behind the mass migration and the collapses in Syria that led to the mass migrations that have overrun places like Germany, etc. Anyway, this story from the New York Post. USPS has already lost $1.3 billion this year. Cash shortages might halt mail delivery, according to the postmaster, in 2027. Yahoo News. USPS says it may not deliver mail in a year. So is that, and I'm looking at the comments on some of these stories, it's in the Constitution. Not delivery to your house, it isn't. We can debunk some of that because that's what we do here. The future First Lady of Florida is going to sit down with us in a little bit here. It's live from CPAC, brought to you by Heritage Foundation, the Virginia Institute for Public Policy, and CFACT.org.
Hey guys, I'm Teddy Savage, National Lead Trainer for Planet Fitness, and the American Heart Association recommends that we all get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity in a week's time. But here's the thing, that 150 minutes does not need to be super intense. As a matter of fact, it could just be you moving your body and doing what you already love to do, like exercise. And a stronger heart doesn't just mean cardio, right? It means also infusing your workout routines with strength training as well. So we are super excited to be launching our new plate-loaded strength series in all of our gyms. It's already fitted in 1,700 locations with the goal to have all 2,700 fitted by the end of 2025. So if you need more information, go to our website at planetfitness.com, or better yet, download our free Planet Fitness app. And with convenient locations all around the world and most of our gyms being open 24 hours, there's bound to be one close by you.
For decades, America's offshore oil industry has relied on Port Fourchon, Louisiana. But now, as wind energy continues to grow, many of these vessels, these companies, these people are building and servicing the offshore wind industry. Moving equipment, installing turbines, transporting crews, it's a huge opportunity, and we're proud to be a part of that.
U.S. offshore wind has already announced over $25 billion in infrastructure investments. Learn more at cleanpower.org. Sponsored by the American Clean Power Association.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, Maybe you've heard switching to Medishare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month. You can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your healthcare, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
What would it be like to live in two worlds? Let's find out how one woman did for over 40 years. Hi, Mary Jane Pop here. Do we know the full truth about the Nicole Simpson murder? Well, got an update. Reaching for peace seems like it's beyond reach, or is it? And scams, AI, and you, how to deal. We go in search of truth on Pop Talk, Saturday 5 to 7 a.m., Sunday 9 to 11 p.m., and 24/7 at KAHI.com. Click on Listen, and let's talk and get the real truth.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now, where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
Hello, Placer County. The weather is here. The ground is soaking it up, so we need to add some fertilizer and get some seed down. The babies and the mamas need feed and bedding, and that means you need to come on by to Placer Farm Supply. They've got what you need. And by the way, if you didn't get that jacket or coat you wanted for Christmas, stop on by and pick it up. In other words, if you need it, they've got it. And if they don't have it, just ask, and they will do their best to get it for you. Customer service is their #1 goal. We're local, and you are our neighbor. Placer Farm Supply, the best kept secret. Stop on by and say hi.
This is Jana from Jana Johnston Photography. I advertise on KAHI Radio because it helps me reach people throughout the foothills who are looking for the best pictures to capture their memories that will last a lifetime. Whether it's a wedding, engagement, graduation, or celebrating a newborn, KAHI Radio connects me with my target audience like only radio can. Thanks, KAHI.
To advertise your business on KAHI Radio, contact the KAHI sales staff at 530-885-5636 today.
Yeah, military life can have its challenges, but sometimes veteran life brings more. While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My name is Greg Gadsden, 26-year Army veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
DAV helps veterans like me get all the benefits they've earned, and that can be a life changer.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won. With the right support, there are no limits.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Greg Gadsden, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Hi, this is Jimmy J. Let's get together this Saturday night at 8 p.m. for the Rewind Show on KAHI, the first station in the world to ever broadcast this show. And thanks to you, boy, have we grown. If you haven't already, be sure to tune in to find out what the rest of the world is talking about. The stars you grew up with are always on Rewind. Saturday night, 8 p.m., right here on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
News and analysis, now without artificial colors. First Thing Today by Joe Thomas on the Talk Media Network.
Oh, yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
Oh, and it begins. Joe, you're wrong about it. The Constitution does guarantee postal delivery. No, it actually doesn't. You know what the U.S. Constitution guarantees? That the existence of post offices in your municipalities and that there be roads to connect them. Future First Lady of Florida is sitting down with school choice. You know, ever since 2020, I thought we were making such great progress, but it feels like there are states trying to push back of it. Erica Donalds is sitting down with us here. Erica, thank you for all the work in school choice. Why haven't we gotten further?
Well, we have made tremendous progress. And even since COVID, it has accelerated tremendously. During COVID, we had no states that had universal school choice programs. Zero. And today we have 17 states with universal access, right? We need more funding to fund all the parents that want it. We have lots of wait lists around the country, but places like Florida and Arizona are universal. Truly, any family that wants school choice can have it. Now we just passed the federal school choice program, where 28 states have already opted in. It starts 1/1 of 2027. So although we're not anywhere close to every family in America having school choice, over half of the students in America are eligible for a school choice program. We've actually come a long way.
I thought we were so close in our home state of Virginia. Winsome Sears was leading the charge. I was at rallies with all these parents from the urban areas, Norfolk and Richmond, and then we fumbled the ball. And it was a blind spot, and I felt so bad about it. I don't know if you've seen this, but in 2020, 2021, a lot of rural communities were not school choice supporters. So once we won over the inner cities, I thought, that's it, we're in. And all the rural communities, and their representatives voted against it. And I didn't understand why. I thought it was Republicans turning on another Republican. And one of our delegates explained it to me. He says, you got to remember, in my county, we only have one school. So what does a parent want with school choice? Now we have these micro school programs, and it was like we've reinvented the one-room schoolhouse. It seems like there's a brush fire for this now really going on in communities, charter schools and all that. Are you seeing the same thing, Erica?
Yeah, absolutely. Here in Texas, where we are for CPAC, there was blocking of school choice for years and years until Governor Abbott said no more. He got involved in primaries and opposed all of the people who had voted against school choice, ended up with a bigger program than he had originally tried to pass, but it was a lot of those rural Republicans. And now we have some incredible online programs where homeschooling doesn't mean what it did when I was young, right? It doesn't mean that you have to be the teacher of all subject areas for your children. You actually can outsource that teaching to tutors, to online programs, and they're tremendous resources. With AI coming in, families can have a lot more control over how their children learn. They can customize their children's learning, whether they're in a rural community. We've seen some incredible micro school ideas come up, or they're in the inner city. If you allowed parents to vote on whether we should have school choice or not, you would not have a problem.
It's interesting you bring up, the movement towards more and more parents saying, I can do this. That's, I guess one of the bigger fears is, can I teach science? But we were talking to the folks from the American Teachers Association here, and they're saying more and more teachers are saying, no, let me go freelance. Let me go be hired out by a group of parents to come teach science once a week to their community. I'll go over there. They're earning more. They're having more freedom. They're doing what they love to do. Are we winning the teachers over? Because I always feel like that's going to be one of the hardest sells.
We're getting there. I always say that education freedom is educator freedom. It gives educators another place to go, because in a lot of these communities, they have one employer. So, of course, how do you negotiate a better salary when you only have one choice of a place to work? So it helps educators as well to be able to realize their dreams. My foundation, Education Freedom Foundation, we have a Start a School initiative. Many of the people that are starting schools across this country using our free resources are educators. They have an idea of how they think they could do it better, or they want to specialize. They want to be a science teacher for multiple schools or multiple programs, and we help them to do that. And we help them to be on these platforms, these school choice platforms, so parents can use their education savings accounts to pay those teachers. And the teachers, like you said, can have more flexibility and end up getting paid more.
Erica Donalds is on with us from the Education Freedom Foundation. Where can people find you online first before I ask you the next question?
YourEdFreedom.org is our foundation. Of course, I'm at Erica Donalds on all social media, but if you want to start your education freedom journey, go to YourEdFreedom.org.
So I was talking about this earlier in the week before we headed down here to Dallas. A fellow was telling me that about 6-7 states have passed or are trying to pass legislation to now block or lay blankets of regulation on top of school choice, where all of a sudden you have to register with the state, or you have to have this, license from the state, or all these things. Connecticut, West Virginia, a few others there. What do you say to folks in those states to watch out for?
Yeah, there is a resurgence of attacking homeschooling because it's exploded so much. It's actually doubled in just the last few years, gone from about 3.5% to 7%. And our polling shows that another 7% would homeschool if they could. So you're talking about going from a very small number to a very large percentage that at least wants to homeschool. So it's no wonder that the monopoly and the status quo is going to come after homeschooling and try to take control of it. We have been able to beat that back in several states as well. But yes, parents need to be vigilant. We have some incredible homeschooling organizations, legal organizations that are fighting those battles in the states, and we need to continue to support them.
Well, it's also a reminder politically that just because you think you've won something, don't fall asleep on it.
Yes, you have to be forever vigilant, especially when it comes to education of our children. There is nothing more personal and there's nothing more important than the education of our children, the values that are being instilled in them every single day. That's one of the number one reasons that families choose alternative to public schools, because of values alignment, as well as safety. It's not all about academic performance, although that's a big reason to get out of the traditional public schools based on their record.
I mean, look at, just as a tangent on that, a few years ago, all the Ivy League schools said their number one group of new admissions test scores were all coming from homeschool families. I mean, that's the Ivy League saying that.
Right. And now you have alternatives to the SAT and ACT with the classic learning tests that are helping students to access higher education. More and more colleges and universities are accepting that test as well. So there's a lot to celebrate when it comes to education freedom in this country, but so much more work to do to make sure that every single student in this country is in a place where they can learn and thrive, where they love going to school and learning every single day. I know that's what I wanted for my children. That's why I got into this, and that every educator has a place where they can thrive in their professional careers. That's what school choice is all about.
Yeah, I think the answer to that, where I went to school in New York, is what we would say to that. Erica, it's so great to meet you. Thank you so much for coming by. For our listeners in Florida, down in Treasure Coast and along in St. Augustine and everything, don't forget, this is only as close as the next gubernatorial election. I'm sure you're watching that pretty carefully.
Very, very closely, yes. And I know that they have, and the next governor of Florida has an incredible education platform that is going to be the model for the nation.
And he's not going to be able to duck out on it if it doesn't go through. Erica, thank you so much. And again, it's youredfreedom.org. All right, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of CPAC.
Thank you so much.
The next... drop my microphone. Next First Lady of Florida, ROD down there, Daytona. Love having you along. More people in Florida get it than even in our home state of Virginia. We're working on it. Little by little, the ears peel here as we come to you live from CPAC in Dallas, Texas, where so many more things going on today. We'll give you a quick look at the schedule when we get back and what you can watch. CPAC.org. Our coverage brought to you by the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org, and their guide to historic sites, among all the other great work that the Heritage Foundation does for you at heritage.org. Coming to you from the Virginia Institute for Public Policy Studios here at CPAC, brought to you by CFACT, cfact.org, CFACT. That's the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. And we'll come back, give you a rundown of what's going on, get more reaction to all the Postal Service. That got them fired.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Now, don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
From border to border, from sea to shining sea, more than 61,000 ordinary American citizens are serving their communities every day as a member of the Civil Air Patrol, the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force. From disasters large and small, natural and man-made, we answer the call to serve. To find out more information or to find a unit near you, log on now. GoCivilAirPatrol.com.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
At Sunrise Natural Foods, those 55 and better save 15% every Wednesday, and everyone can save on hundreds of products throughout the store every day. This month, all Life Extension products are 25% off, and all MRM vitamins and proteins are 35% off. And if you have any questions, just ask one of their product specialists, who are always happy to help you on your health journey in Auburn and Roseville, or online at sunrisenaturalfoods.net. Remember, when it comes to health, experience matters.
Friday weather forecast, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s. Today, southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Partly to mostly clear skies and the low 50s overnight. Looks like the dry, sunny weather is going to last into the weekend. Temperatures well into the 70s, close to 80 Saturday and Sunday, and light breezes over the course of the weekend. We'll keep you updated. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
If you like quality, let's talk Amish.
The Amish furniture craftsman starts with the finest hardwood, shaping and molding the raw materials into a one-of-a-kind work of art.
Amish furniture will last a lifetime, right, Nova? Yes.
Naturewood Home Furnishings offers the largest selection of surprisingly affordable Amish furniture.
With Amish, your choices are endless.
All Amish furniture is on sale. Naturewood, the building with the water wheel.
Tell them Brooklyn, Nova, and Orion sent you.
Every year, dozens of first responders and police are injured or killed while assisting motorists on the side of busy highways. And hundreds of people are killed changing tires or stopping for other reasons. Most drivers are unaware that the law in all 50 states says that when you see flashing lights, you're required to slow down and move to the next lane. Failing to obey these laws can result in fines and criminal charges if someone is injured. So if you see a police car, ambulance, tow truck, fire truck, or any emergency vehicle on the side of the road, slow down to at least 20 miles per hour below the speed limit and move to the next lane. And if you think you need to pull over to the side of the road, do so only if it's an emergency, and never pull over to the median side of the highway. Park as far from the highway as possible. Turn on your hazard lights, make sure all passengers get out of the vehicle, and light flares if you have them. And don't risk your life trying to change a flat tire on a dangerous highway. Carefully drive to the nearest exit. To learn more, visit nationalpolice.org.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
It's weird when you get a stalker. I'll never forget, I met her. She was outside, and she's a stalker, so, not hot. That's just what you picture when you picture a stalker. If they were hot, they wouldn't be a stalker. They'd be my girlfriend.
From Saturday Night Live, his Netflix specials, and Peacock's Bupkis, Pete Davidson, live, Friday, April 10th, the venue at Thunder Valley. Get tickets now at ThunderValleyResort.com. Pete Davidson, live.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
Do you know of a senior neighbor, friend, or family member going through a difficult time? Perhaps you know of a senior that could use a burst of joy, or a senior that needs help overcoming a conflict they are facing. Silver Wishes of Placer County may be able to help. Silver Wishes grants wishes to help seniors overcome a challenge, help break up the monotony of a chronic illness, bring joy to those suffering from loneliness, or fulfill a bucket list item for someone facing a terminal diagnosis. Wish recipients must be residents of Placer County
and at least 65 years old. For more information and to nominate a senior for a wish, go to www.silverwishes.org. That's www.silverwishes.org. Silver Wishes, impacting our seniors one wish at a time.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
Oh my goodness, they're a bad kisser. This woman complained that her husband was bad.
Well, why is he your husband? Golly.
Thought he would get better at it.
No, not unless you tell him. If that doesn't have something going on, then I can't go.
Did somebody tell you years later that you...
No, I've always been, impressed with my handiwork.
Weekdays from 1 to 4 on the Voice of the Foothills,
FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
For you, from Joe Thomas, it's First Thing Today.
That's what we do here. We say the quiet part out loud. It's a programming philosophy. Download it. I don't know. Which phrase seemed to go there. 434-882-4217 is our phone number. And you can text, same number there, or you can email jtinthemorningradio@gmail.com. In all of Christendom, all the things we get into, I trigger people with the discussion of the U.S. Postal Service. You know what? We all rely on it, and much like Roe versus Wade, we misunderstood what it actually, the Constitution. Well, you got to have the post office. Constitution says so. But to what level? We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, our friend James is here from jcsgold.com. And how are gold and silver doing? They had that fire sale yesterday, James. How are you doing this morning?
Gold and silver are in the green so far this morning. Gold is up about 0.75%, up $35 to $4,413. Silver is up about 1/3%, 25 cents, up to $68.21. So trying to hang in there, trying to find some stability and get back in the green.
Well, and that's the opportunity. I bet you there were a lot of people saying, I can add to my portfolio today. Right?
That's exactly right. We had a lot of clients excited yesterday. Just can't believe that they were handed this gift, a couple of them said, of the lower prices so they could buy more and add to their stacking position. So that was pretty cool to see, and we'll see where gold and silver move, from here. But of course, like I always said, it's a zoom out mentality to look at the long-term trends of gold and silver, which you can see there on our website at jcsgold.com.
Well, and the important thing is that you have it. So when the prices come down, it's not about, I better sell it. It's, I can get more of it. That's the thing that you got to be watching for. It's not about, I better sell high and buy low. That's for your stock portfolio. This is buy it and hold it.
You're exactly right. And that's something that we talk to our clients a lot about also, is that, when you feel like you need it, when you feel like you really want it, it's too late by that point. You're not going to be able to get it. The premiums are going to be so high. Everywhere's going to be out of stock, whatever. So you don't want to be in this scenario to where you're like, oh man, I wish I bought that back then when I was thinking about it or any of that. And I'm not saying you have to, spend your whole portfolio at one time. It's an ease-in type of thing that you build over a period of time, and hopefully, we don't need it for crazy inflation. Hopefully we don't need it for a wild economy. But that way, you do have it in case you do need it in the future.
Well, you mentioned something the other day. I mean, and I guess people do this is they have a weekly or a monthly plan. It's like, hey, I'm going to buy $100 worth every pay period or whatever, and whatever that gets, it gets. And I think that's a smart way to do it. That way, you're not distracted. Somebody called from the phone company or the gas, delivery is late or whatever it is, and you get distracted from it. You miss some opportunities.
Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of people, do have this plan to where they come to our website, they buy their same, group of silver or gold, once a month, once a week, and we have a lot of repeat customers that are doing that. And we ship those items out to them, on that schedule. And they're really building a position and a lot of times they'll leave a note and say, the stack of silver is getting bigger and, looking forward to, filling the tube, of Silver Eagles or Buffalo Rounds or something like that. But, people really do enjoy after doing it for about 6 months or so, looking in their safe or wherever they're storing their gold and silver and saying, wow, I really do have quite a bit of precious metal now, which is very cool.
You reminded me of something. Of course, the Luck family started in this as new mismatists, which was good because we were getting tired of the old mismatists. But, people with those tubes, and you would save your pennies or your nickels in those paper tubes and bring them to the bank. You should come up with a line of those for gold coins. Just, oh, look, I've got another roll. Put it over here and make it, if you fill this one, it's £1 or something like that. That'd be a kind of cool promotional idea.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So, what? Oh, they're telling me I should have charged you for that. Nah, it's all part of the service, ma'am. James, you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday.
Sounds great. Thanks, Joe.
434-979-COIN is how you call the Jefferson Coin Shop. jcsgold.com is the phone number. So the couple of texts and emails saying, Joe, this one I particularly like is, how is it the U.S. Postal Service, with all of the traffic that goes through it, is losing so much money? How badly run are they? This one from Sherry says, privatize the damn thing. And there's been discussions, all of that stuff. But the story, and it's not even a news story. I happened to see it, a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago. New York Post coverage, U.S. Postal Service already lost, 6 days ago. All right, that's how long it was. Already has lost $1.3 billion this year, and cash shortages might halt mail delivery by 2027. Cash-strapped U.S. Postal Service barreling towards a financial cliff, with Postmaster General David Steiner warning lawmakers the agency could run dry by October of this year if Congress doesn't step in and stop it. It's always, and it's always the answer. Well, you guys have to fix this for me. Go get some of those other people's dollars, or print some of the other funny money that you do at the Treasury there. According to Business Insider, the agency has been bleeding money ever since 2006, when it hit its peak of delivering 213 billion pieces of mail. A $9 billion loss in the last fiscal year, and already 1.3. But here's, one of the things you don't know in the structure of the U.S. Postal Service, and this goes into the givebacks that Congress, you're asking Congress for help. One of the things that the Postal Service is required to do is to make sure its pension fund has every dollar potentially available to every employee. It's not a fund like you go and do your 401k or anything like that. If you're a postal worker, there is an account somewhere with every dollar possible that you're ever going to need in retirement. Even if you only work there a year, and you don't earn that retirement, but they have to have it set aside for you already. And that's one of those structural things in the Postal Service. We were talking about the Constitution, just for those, for the public record. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 7, U.S. Constitution. Congress shall have the power, begins the whole section, to establish post offices and post roads. Those are those U.S. routes with the white shield around the number. Those are postal routes. That's the only thing that the U.S. Constitution guarantees.
My name is Bobby. I'm a veteran and lost my leg to a roadside bomb. My victory was going from a wheelchair to becoming a weightlifting champion.
I'm Sam. I'm a veteran. My victory was finding a career I can be proud of and supporting my family.
America's veterans are on their most important tour, the tour of their lives.
I'm a veteran. My victory was going from homeless to home.
At DAV, we're on a mission to help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran, and my victory was finishing my education.
DAV offers veterans of all generations a lifetime of support for victories great and small.
My victory was proving that disability is not a limitation.
My victory was getting my service dog a new best friend.
We help more than 1 million veterans every year as they face and conquer their challenges.
My victory is being able to be there for my family.
When America's veterans win, we all win. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
FM 104.5, K2A3CM, Auburn, and AM 950, KAHI, Auburn.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Legislation to pay TSA workers is now heading to the House after being approved by the Senate overnight.
The Senate has approved Homeland Security funds that will pay TSA workers who haven't seen a paycheck in weeks. It also funds most other agencies, but not immigration enforcement. Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said his party will continue to make sure that ICE doesn't get more funding without serious reform. Senate Majority Leader John Thune says it's the Democrats' fault there's no Homeland Security funding bill this year. The bill now goes to the House. Donna Warder, Washington.
Air raid sirens sounded in Israel early today as the military said it was working to intercept Iranian missiles. Iran also kept up its attacks on Gulf Arab neighbors. Retired Army Colonel Robert McGinnis tells the Salem Radio Network that President Trump is negotiating with whom he believes to be the right leadership in Iran.
Now, the question is, will we come to know who those credible people are that has control over what IRGC and Baji and other internal leadership and enforcement security forces, do they really influence that? Do they speak for them? Is there a unified government?
Correspondent Bernie Bennett has an update on the Republican push for the Senate to pass the Save America Act.
Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, have shown an interest in voter ID, which has grown in popularity among voters across the country. Still, Democrats blocked an amendment to the Safeguarding American Voter Eligibility, or Save America Act, from Ohio Republican Senator John Husted, meant to put them on record for that position. Schumer said ahead of the vote that, quote, Republicans are once again wasting time on voter suppression. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
In early trading on Wall Street, the Dow is down more than 400 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey, I'm Kirk Cameron. Is health insurance eating up your budget for 2026? If you're looking for ways to better steward your finances, consider this. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a health insurance alternative at half the cost. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. While insurance companies tell you when to join, what to pay, and where to go, CHM is different. As a ministry, CHM allows you to share the burden of medical bills with other Christians. You can enroll, switch programs, or leave at any time. Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's a world of difference. CHM has 4 flexible programs. You can pick any certified doctor, surgeon, or hospital that you want for eligible care. So make the switch. Take your paycheck back from health insurance this year. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
A legal victory on immigration for the Trump administration.
An appeals court says the U.S. can continue to hold immigrants in detention without bond. The Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals in St. Louis overturned a lower court ruling that required that a Mexican citizen be given a bond hearing before an immigration judge. Last month, another appeals court ruled in favor of the Trump administration, saying that denying bond hearings to immigrants arrested across the country is consistent with the Constitution and federal immigration law. I'm Donna Warder.
A federal judge has ruled in favor of AI company Anthropic in temporarily blocking the Pentagon from labeling the company as a supply chain risk. The judge said she was also blocking enforcement of President Trump's directive ordering all federal agencies to stop using Anthropic and its chatbot, Claude. News and analysis at townhall.com. Record bonuses were handed out on Wall Street last year.
The New York State's Comptroller's annual estimate of bonuses paid to security industry employees who work in New York City reports that the average bonus rose to $246,900. That's up 6% from the previous year. The report links the jump to Wall Street profits rising more than 30%. The report also says that while bonuses are up, actual job growth has slowed, and geopolitical conflicts are posing extraordinary risks for the short and long-term outlook. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
There's a new crypto mortgage offering on the way. Prospective homebuyers who have invested in certain cryptocurrencies will be able to use their holdings as collateral to fund their down payment on a home. A new company plans to roll out the crypto-backed mortgage sometime in the next 3 months. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The hosts of the Crossroads radio program invite you to join them Sunday mornings from 9 till 10 as they explore different subjects of the Bible and the everlasting gospel of Jesus Christ. Each Sunday, Wesley Smith and Pastor Buddy Harper help you discover answers that are tested and proven with strict biblical conclusions. Music during the show features the group Jordan to Canaan. That's Crossroads, Sunday mornings 9 till 10, right here on KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
This is Stephen Hill. Catch Hearts of Space, Sunday nights at 8, here on the all-new FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI. The same voice of the foothills, more powerful than ever.
What do you think about the dope problem? And I said, definitely, I feel we have too many dopes.
First Thing Today by Joe Thomas on the Talk Media Network. All natural and free of artificial intelligence.
Your words at steel mill, which damn near every day. Leaves for work when the sun comes up, drops a kid to school along the way. Joe has everything he dreamed of, all the treasures that he needs. No wonder Joe's always smiling, he only aims to please you. Let me be your Joe.
Thank you for letting us be of service to you this morning.
I wanna be your Joe.
Here in Dallas, where we are for the Conservative Political Action Conference. People forget what the acronym stands for. And conservatism, what are we conserving? That's always the question. There have been years where it's been more debatable, and the epithets from the left is, it's just a Trump fest. Oh, you guys are just all in the cult of Trump. There are a lot of people here who have taken issue with President Trump on various different things, international affairs, that kind of thing. It's not a Trumpists only party, because conserving what America and Western civilization in a grander scheme is all about takes a lot of things and isn't always... If you're basing your life on rhetorical points, like this is what I believe and I only believe this, and this is my stand on something, and I get all that. I understand having, hard, fast, right and wrong rules, but if you say no war ever, it's the difference between the Ten Commandments, the older interpretation which says thou shalt not murder, versus the more modern telling which is thou shalt not kill. If you say we should never go to war, well, if we weren't already, what's the TV show, The Man in High Castle? If we hadn't already been overrun by the Nazis, waiting till they got to the Canadian border might have been a bad idea. And there's right and there's wrong. And one of the truisms of understanding right versus wrong is that there are things that are essential truths. But just saying I'm always going to do one thing or another is a very fragile position to put yourself in, and it leaves you very easily manipulatable. Got this text message. If you want to get Matt in Virginia fired up this morning, Fox News headline, DHS shutdown breakthrough comes at cost for Republicans. Chuck Schumer quoted saying, "This could have been done 3 weeks ago. It's exactly what we wanted." So we'll get into that with you this morning as we break down the things. Marco Rubio heading off to Europe to visit with the G7 leaders and with a message for them. It is your war. This coming out of the European Union, where leaders are grumbling that the activities in the Iranian theater, especially as it relates to the cost of energy and the resources that are being held up at the Strait of Hormuz, Marco Rubio said, quote, these countries get far more of their fuel from there than we do, regarding the Iranian theater. He does say, as he left for the G7, that the negotiations are ongoing and fluid, and said that they are discussing with Iranian leadership that 15-point peace proposal, even though a spokesman for the theocracy insists that they've crumpled it up and will never negotiate with the United States ever. The gift that President Trump announced last week, or I guess earlier this week, turns out to have been permission for 10 oil tankers, including many flying the Pakistani flag, to pass through the Strait of Hormuz as a goodwill gesture tied to negotiations. Pakistan turns out to be the intermediary, that is, the one that's working through back channels to get the 15-point plan into the hands of those to negotiate it. Federal judge in San Francisco blocked the Trump administration from enforcing its ban on artificial intelligence firm Anthropic from working with the Pentagon. Rita Lynn, a Biden appointee, granted Anthropic's request for preliminary injunction, halting the February 27th directive from President Trump ordering all federal agencies to stop using the company's technology. Another ruling, this in favor of the administration, the U.S. can continue to detain immigrants without bond. An appeals court ruled on Wednesday, handing the victory to the crackdown on immigration. European Parliament voted Thursday to approve a trade deal between the United States and the EU, setting tariffs at 15%. And setting off with one particular proviso, saying if any of the operations change, the contract can be canceled. And those are your first things on this Friday morning here from CPAC. First Thing Today by Joe Thomas, supported in part by 127 Coffee Roasters and First Free Coffee Bar, where if you're in the Charlottesville area, please visit Steve and Kate in a coffee shop that celebrates your choices and your rights. 127 Coffee brews their coffee for them, roasts it special for their store, and they came up with a special roast just for this program. It's called First Free in the Morning Coffee, and you can get yours at 127.coffee and order it, have it delivered right to your house. You can get it at the store if you're visiting Charlottesville, especially as we come towards America's 250th anniversary. And know that your purchase of a bag of First Free in the Morning Coffee at 127.coffee helps support an orphanage and a school in Uganda as part of their ministry.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
I can't stay awake any longer, George.
It'll be on right after the Night Owl movie.
It's 4:30 in the morning.
It's a fantastic 10-second commercial, Helen, and I'm standing right there pointing to the car. Grams!
What, you on yet, Georgie?
Not yet, but you're falling asleep.
What's this on my forehead?
Cheese dip, Grams.
You fell asleep in the cheese dip.
Must have fallen asleep with the cheese dip.
Oh, George, why does your TV commercial have to be on so late?
Our ad budget could only afford fringe time, but that's okay, because a lot of people are up to... Grams!
I'm up. Are you on the TV?
No, but soon.
Well, I'm all set right here next to the TV. I wouldn't miss you for...
If your advertising isn't reaching the people you want, radio definitely will. With its many different formats, radio reaches every lifestyle. So you can target more messages to exactly who you want, when you want, at a price you can still afford.
Okay, Helen, here it comes.
Oh, Gramps, it's George! It's George!
Oh, I'll get it. Let me turn off the TV first. Hello, George. Must have hung up.
Oh, brother.
Want to wake up your advertising? Try radio. It's right on the button. A message from the Radio Advertising Bureau.
Tune in to the KAHI Corral every Saturday at 7 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
Fun fact.
Yeah?
Every centimeter of toe growth past what it should be, it's 110 pounds on the navicular bone.
Oh,
extra
God, it makes my legs ache right now.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's scary. Because the navicular, you're done.
Yeah, the navicular bone is very important.
Yeah, you're not riding or doing much else.
Listen in to Connie and the Gang, and you'll never know what you're gonna find. Everything from pets in the studio, oh yeah, that's a real thing, to the advice you've come to count on. So join Connie and a cast of thousands on the KAHI Corral Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. here on 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Friday weather forecast, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s. Today, southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Partly to mostly clear skies and the low 50s overnight. Looks like the dry, sunny weather is going to last into the weekend. Temperatures well into the 70s, close to 80 Saturday and Sunday, and light breezes over the course of the weekend. We'll keep you updated. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now, where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
Runners, to your mark. Set.
Some may see a sprinter. At the NFHS, we see a future leader already off to the races. Some may see a volleyball player.
Good hit! Way to go, girls! Woo!
At the NFHS, we see a spike in confidence that will help her achieve her potential. What else do we see? Musicians learning to march to their own beat. We're the NFHS, the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and activities in America, helping today's teenagers develop the skills they need to become tomorrow's leaders. And we see it happening in communities across California every single day. Learn more about the NFHS commitment to youth at nfhs.org. This message presented by the NFHS, the National Federation of State High School Associations.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
What's in an icicle? Do you want to hear this?
Yeah,
I think you probably do.
When icicles form, it's from water that melts off of your roof and runs down the side of a building. Well, here's the thing. You know what else is on your roof? Bird poop. A lot of it. And that water picks it up and freezes it in the ice. You're eating poop.
Gosh.
Weekdays from 1 to 4 on the Voice of the Foothills, FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
From the home of the First Amendment, first thing today.
So apparently you all know each other because you wanted to trigger Matt by opening up this conversation of the proposed, as the story goes, they're one step closer. They're not done with the closure of the Department of Homeland Security yet, but apparently there's the structure of a lattice work, of a framework, of a rule book, of an agreement to get the government reopened in that particular aspect and start paying these folks again and stop having this case of the blue flu gripping the American, and please stop it before we start hearing from Chuck Schumer complaining about how ICE officers in the airport are making American residents afraid to fly. But you wanted to trigger Matt with a conversation about Chuck Schumer, quote, getting everything he wanted. John Thune begs to differ, saying they got nothing of what they wanted. But the one thing they got is that DHS's budget no longer covers ICE. However, they didn't get any of the reforms in ICE that they wanted to, which, of course, would have crippled them. But according to Thune, the funding for ICE is now front-loaded in the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, so it's not like ICE is going away anytime soon. But success was wrought as Matt called in as soon as we went into break there. Good morning, Matt. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, not too bad, everything considered.
I appreciate it.
As I mentioned to you before, I get frustrated with these shutdowns because it's all just political brinksmanship.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't think Congress should be paid if the government is shut down. And I'm not talking about the way they do it with the rank and file, where they say, well, we're not going to pay you now, but when you come back to work, we'll give you
the back pay. Yeah.
The Congress shouldn't get the back pay. And when I say Congress, I'm talking about their staffs and their advisors as
sure.
well.
Yeah, the gravy train.
If Chuck Schumer wants to shut down the government, fine. Let Chuck Schumer pay his office people out of his pocket.
Well, I know that President Trump has offered to, signed an emergency order yesterday to start paying the TSA officers again. I bet you they'll stop calling in sick now. But you know what I'm talking about. And I always feel like, the phrase has not been heard really since the 80s in New York City. But the phrase I thought was a very commonplace one, blue flu, which is, when you're not permitted to strike, like an auto worker or something like that. If you're in a job like a police officer or TSA agent and you're not allowed to just walk out and have a strike, by law, what winds up happening is people start calling in sick, and there's a forced depletion that goes on. And you can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's what they've got as a negotiating ploy. Is the only way they can do it is use their sick time to slow everything down to a crawl.
Yeah, and if if they're not going to get paid, why come in?
The law says they have to. The law says they're not allowed to do a work stoppage there. But this whole bit about...
The law says you're not allowed to murder people either, but I understand that it still happens occasionally.
Yes, that's true. But, this whole point of reworking ICE is such a dog and pony show and I wonder, because people complained in 2025 in New Jersey and Virginia that the Republicans were picking on the wrong topic, the wrong marching order. They were talking about, boys and girls locker rooms, which is agreeably an issue, but not to enough of the population to win an election on. I wonder if this ICE battle is taking too much of the Democratic Party's resources that they could be using for other campaigns to try to win the midterms. What do you think of that thought?
Well, I mean, one of the things that annoys me with all of this talk about ICE, more people have been killed this year by transgender shooters than by ICE agents.
This is mathematically correct. Statistics, the statisticians here at Joe Thomas in the Morning can confirm. But we're not, the government doesn't pay, I presume, the transgender shooters that lose their last good marble.
Yeah, but the ICE agents are tasked with a job.
Yeah.
And then they have people who interfere with this job. Now, if they are at all mission oriented, it's like, okay, we've got this task that we have to complete, and these people are interfering with us. Now, I'm not saying you shoot everybody that interferes with you, but there are some rules of common sense when dealing with armed law enforcement officers
who are at work trying to do a particular job, and if you're interfering with it, you're already committing a crime with impeding judgment. I wanted to ask you a question on all of the enforcement activities and all of the arguments regarding ICE and the Department of Homeland Security. I bring this up all the time, and I don't think enough people do, that to this moment, nobody, Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, nobody has pointed to a point or a place in U.S. immigration policy that is wrong. They talk about reforming ICE. They're not talking about changing immigration policy. They're talking about making ICE officers go stand in front of a judge for 6 hours trying to get a warrant to look for somebody who's already been identified at a location. Their pursuit of non-citizens. Is the argument that we have a problem with immigration also based on this fraudulent argument, because they don't seem to be interested in changing our immigration laws?
Well, I think you've got a situation where both sides say, we have a problem with immigration. Stop, period, end of sentence. But they never agree on what that problem is. For the Democrats, the problem with the immigration system is that there are penalties and clauses in there where these people can be expelled. And this is what ICE is trying to do. They're trying to round up people that don't belong here and send them back where they came from.
Right.
For Republicans, the problem is we don't get enough cheap labor.
Yeah, I've heard that argument as well. Good stuff, Matt. Well, thank you for calling in.
One other point in all of this.
Well, hang on to that point for a second.
Okay.
Hey guys, I'm Teddy Savage, National Lead Trainer for Planet Fitness, and the American Heart Association recommends that we all get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity in a week's time. But here's the thing, that 150 minutes does not need to be super intense. As a matter of fact, it could just be you moving your body and doing what you already love to do, like exercise. And a stronger heart doesn't just mean cardio, right? It means also infusing your workout routines with strength training as well. So we are super excited to be launching our new plate-loaded strength series, and all of our gyms. It's already fitted in 1,700 locations with the goal to have all 2,700 fitted by the end of 2025. So if you need more information, go to our website at planetfitness.com, or better yet, download our free Planet Fitness app. And with convenient locations all around the world and most of our gyms being open 24 hours, there's bound to be one close by you.
For decades, America's offshore oil industry has relied on Port Fourchon, Louisiana. But now, as wind energy continues to grow, many of these vessels, these companies, these people are building and servicing the offshore wind industry. Moving equipment, installing turbines, transporting crews, it's a huge opportunity, and we're proud to be a part of that.
U.S. offshore wind has already announced over $25 billion in infrastructure investments. Learn more at cleanpower.org. Sponsored by the American Clean Power Association.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month. You can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
AI and scams, growing by leaps and bounds. So how do we overcome those scams? Check it out on Pop Talk this week. And the real story behind O.J. Simpson and the death of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman from an ex-boyfriend. Hi, Mary Jane Pomp here. She's lived in two worlds over 40 years and says we can reach a higher consciousness. Just what does that mean? And can there ever really be peace? We go in search of truth Saturday, 5 to 7 a.m., Sunday, 9 to 11 p.m., and 24/7 at KAHI.com. Come be with us.
Here's one of our local advertisers to tell you why he loves KAHI Radio.
I'm Fred Penny, managing partner of Penny & Associates, Injury Lawyers. Our law offices are located throughout California, and we have the opportunity to advertise across the state. We chose to advertise with KAHI. Among our other locations, we see the advantage of reaching those who matter most, the local customers, through local radio on KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
San Francisco Giants baseball is on the voice of the foothills, KAHI, AM and FM.
And this is hit high and deep and out of here.
Into the bleachers, a two-run homer, 4-0 Giants. The throw to first, it's high, pulling the first baseman off the bag, and there's nobody at the plate. Jung-Hoo Lee very alertly sprints home to score the run.
Sarcoma. Odds are you've never heard that word before. But for the 40 people diagnosed with sarcoma every day, it is a life-changing word. Life-changing and devastating because sarcoma is cancer. Sarcoma is a cancer of bone and soft tissue more prevalent in children than in adults. More than 6,000 people lose their lives to sarcoma each year. Treatment options for sarcoma are limited, and new therapies are desperately needed. More research and increased awareness is necessary to find a cure for a cancer that you probably didn't even know existed until now. Through awareness, advocacy, and research, the Sarcoma Foundation of America is determined to help those affected by this forgotten cancer, to bring hope to the children and adults whose lives are forever changed by a word they had never heard before. Please help us in the fight to find the cure for sarcoma. For more information on sarcoma and the work of the Sarcoma Foundation of America, please go to curesarcoma.org.
Hi, the consumer with a thought about advertising on the radio. Someone probably told you Wednesday was best shopping day in the newspaper, so you put an ad there. And so did everyone else, including all the mega billion-dollar companies who take the whole page and swallow your little ad like a great white shark devouring a small reef fish. It's not a pretty sight. No wonder they say newspaper is black and white and red all over. The red is from all the poor little ads getting annihilated. So what's a little guy to do? You could hire someone to carry a sign, walk around in traffic, and talk to everyone who passes by. But people probably wouldn't hear them over their car radios. Hey, there's an idea. Advertise on the radio. People will hear you. You'll be one-on-one, with me, the consumer.
If you'd like to advertise where there's less clutter, advertise on this station. Call us for more information.
And the Sundance final scene sets the hills.
I love California. I love the mountains. I love the sunsets. I love the foothills. Oh, speaking of which, join me every Saturday at 8 p.m. for Rewind, featuring the stars you grew up with. Oh, by the way, my name is Jimmy J. We've been doing this for a long time. If you haven't heard the show yet, check it out. This Saturday, 8 p.m., Rewind on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
Amaze your friends. Hear it first thing today by Joe Thomas.
Brought to you by the Heritage Foundation, live from CPAC in Big D, where we honor our contracts. Heritage.org, that's a conservative principle right there. Also coming to you from the Virginia Institute for Public Policy broadcast booth, sponsored by CFAC, the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. Our sports director, Mac McDonald, ready to take us into the world of sports. And I'm telling you, Mac, this is, I love the smell of face palm in the morning. This is a face palmer, this story. Oh, my goodness.
Love this. There's a saying in Texas, you might hear it while you're there: all hat, no cattle.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yeah, and North Carolina State, when I was watching great basketball last night, the Iowa comeback, Purdue in Texas was great. Purdue wins on the tip, and all this great stuff happening with a great weekend of NCAA. And a story breaks in Raleigh that North Carolina State now is looking for new men's head basketball coach.
Oh man!
After three confirmations with his boss, he was in the right mindset to build a Wolfpack. If you remember, I said from the very beginning, this guy was a blowhard. He was a jerk, and from the very beginning, he came in, with all this brash talk about the ACC. It's going to be a day of reckoning for the ACC and all this stuff. ACC tournament loss to UVA. He announced his 6-week plan. Also told a female reporter who said, there are rumors about you going back to LSU. He goes, well, is the job open there? He goes, well, I don't know. And he goes into a whole thing. All right. So then, following the NCAA tournament loss to Texas, he says, I'm here to win. Okay. Number 3, last Tuesday, it was a 2-hour meeting with athletic director Boo Corrigan to talk recruiting, scheduling, staff, and Boo thought he had a coach who wanted to work in Raleigh in North Carolina State. This is from Boo's press conference yesterday in Raleigh.
We thought we had someone that came in last year to lead our men's basketball program. And over the course of the last year, we had developed a relationship that I believe was based on trust and accountability. There was no reason for me in my job not to believe the words that I was hearing coming back to me.
Okay, then, all right, Wednesday morning, March 25th, Boo receives an email from Wade's agent.
Oh, man.
No call, no stop by the office. Hey, do you have a minute? Nothing. And then Wade just posts on social media, because that's what cowards do. They don't go their boss. They don't say, hey, look, this is the thing. Now, the LSU side of the story, which I'll delve into probably next week to get into to what's happening, because I can't wait till his press conference, all right? But the email announced his resignation and move to LSU. Wade did not address the move with his boss, okay? Let's dial back. Wade was suspended as the Tigers coach for the 2019 NCAA tournament while at LSU, later fired amid an NCAA probe that left the program significant sanctions. Wade called the move deeply personal. Now, Joe, I don't know enough about politics to know. I don't know whether the LSU governor, who's very concerned about LSU athletics, I don't know whether he's left, right, middle aisle. I have no idea. But now this is an institution that got Lane Kiffin under a cloud. Okay, Kim Mulkey, who has burned more bridges than a World War II attack unit, and then of course now Wade. I mean, this is an athletic department that just reeks. Okay, so Corrigan said, naturally, I'm disappointed how it went down, and told the players and the dollar people, I know you feel the way I do.
I would commiserate with them in terms of feeling lied to, right? And let them know that it's not something that I didn't know anything about, and as surprised as they are by what's going on. But reassure them that we're going to find a coach that wants to be at NC State.
The Will Wade return had been in the works for more than a year.
Wow, really?
Yes,
Shocked
and that
me.
comes from Matt Moscona, who works for LSU Sportsnet. Now, Coach McMahon was fired. I cannot find, I've looked and looked, Will Wade's agent, I'm going to guess, is Jimmy Sexton because
why?
Sexton represents everybody. I mean, I'm just going to guess, and I could be wrong. I've looked and looked, and I'll, by next week I'll have more on this stuff. But here's a guy who comes to Raleigh, talks about how now they went from 5-15 to 10-8 in the league. They showed some improvement. He couldn't beat Virginia, but here this Will Wade just stinks. This is what's wrong with college athletics when you've got guys like this who want to coach kids. And I'll still coach kids or student athletes.
Well, and this is the thing that also is North Carolina State, LSU, all these schools. This goes back to the conversation you and I have had. They're playing with this promotional marketing tool like it's some sort of sanctified professorial research project. This is about promoting your school. Be honest. Just say, we want to win. We want to get to March Madness because it helps us drive up enrollment, or we get more donor dollars in the Alumni Association. Stop playing this. Oh no, we're here for the professorial pursuits, and then maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't get some of these guys, who treat their position. I don't know why LSU is a better job than North Carolina State. It seemed like North Carolina State was closer to getting to the Final Four than LSU is.
Well, LSU, their basketball pro, they put really not much money because of football and what happens, and there's not much money left when you got Ken Mulkey. And as I said, he's got roots there of some kind. Okay. He called it in his statement. He called it deeply personal. Was the move? Okay. Now,
hit my personal bank account.
Here was the quote. The ACC tournament. I was hired at NC State to do a job. It wasn't going to take 1 year. I've met with our administration. Some of the changes we need to make. Some of the things we have to do. I'm not on social media. Now, he glared at this female reporter. He goes, "Is that job open?" And gave this thing. He goes, "I'm not into gossip. I'm not into any of that stuff. But look, we're going to win. We're going to win big at North Carolina State." And boy, the writers and all the people are, But then he pens this, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraph thing on social media talking about not an easy decision, how much respect and appreciate it. Will Wade is slime. Will Wade, from the very beginning and very first press conference I ever heard, I said, this guy, and because that first press conference when he stepped up, he goes, "Oh, we're going to win. We're going to," he went on ACC TV and just, he acted like he was the second coming of, who. And so this was just
Jim Valvano? That wasn't who you meant.
It was Jim Valvano who put bumper stickers on the back of a clipboard to make extra money for him, and it was also selling shoes out of the back of a car. The Jim Valvano story goes deep as well.
Oh yeah.
So. There was a book called Personal Fouls. Read it. Yeah, that you'll get into that. So anyway, on this Friday, when we're embracing the opening of baseball, by the way, your Mets had a good day yesterday against the Pirates.
Nationals.
Paul Skeens' ERA now is 87 something. He lasted.
Well, and can we stick a pin, because everyone's like, "Oh, Dylan Cruz is in the minors. He's Paul Skeens won the Cy Young Award." That's the pitchers. You can somebody figures out, oh, this is what his slider looks like. Oh, okay. All of a sudden, everyone's knocking you around the park.
Yeah, the Pirates had a 2-0 lead in the first, and the Mets rocked them. Nationals hit 3 home runs at Wrigley. Nats win. I
know, behind Cade Cavalli.
Anyway, all the great things, it's going to be a really good weekend with men's, women's tournament and everything, and I'm just going to continue to see I'm just going to have fun reading and hearing about the Will Wade move, because I just think
at the end of the day, what was Coach
AD Buch Oregon?
No. What does the coach always say? Players, pickers pick, players play.
Yeah, that was an Al Groh. Pickers pick, players play.
But
exactly.
What kind of players does this guy recruit to LSU? I mean, is he?
Well, if do I want my son to play under him? He establishes such a great, work ethic, and no, it's not going to happen. So I hope you have a good time in Dallas.
We're having a great time. It's exhausting. Good. It's busy. Yeah, we haven't left the convention center. Luckily, it's a pretty big one there. Max,
look for a couch. We'll see you soon.
Brought to you by Bud Foster and his Lunch Pail Foundation, helping kids get college scholarships. It's what's important now. LunchPailDefense.com.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
From border to border, from sea to shining sea, more than 61,000 ordinary American citizens are serving their communities every day as a member of the Civil Air Patrol, the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force. From disasters large and small, natural and man-made, we answer the call to serve. To find out more information or to find a unit near you, log on now. Go CivilAirPatrol.com.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
No spin, just facts. Monday through Friday at 7 on KAHI AM and FM. Bill O'Reilly here, inviting you to join me every evening at 7 on KAHI, the No Spin News. You will like it. No spin, just facts on KAHI, always looking out for you.
Friday weather forecast, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s. Today, southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Partly to mostly clear skies and the low 50s overnight. Looks like the dry, sunny weather is going to last into the weekend. Temperatures well into the 70s, close to 80 Saturday and Sunday, and light breezes over the course of the weekend. We'll keep you updated. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
If you like quality, let's talk Amish.
The Amish Furniture Craftsman starts with the finest hardwood, shaping and molding the raw materials into a one-of-a-kind work of art.
Amish furniture will last a lifetime, right, Nova? Yes.
Naturewood Home Furnishings offers the largest selection of surprisingly affordable Amish furniture.
With Amish, your choices are endless.
All Amish furniture is on sale. Naturewood, the building with the water wheel.
Tell them Brooklyn, Nova, and Orion sent you.
All right, I got a message for you. Radio is the way to go if you want to advertise. Targeting your customers, any shape or size. Radio is a perfect way to tell them who and where you are. They listen at work, they listen at home, and you got them in that car. You got to go with radio when you want to advertise. Here we go, watch me now. Hard rock and soft rock and easy listening too. Up and down the dialer formats just for you. Country, classic, talk, and gospel stations. Every market across the land has got a station for your situation. The cost is low, and radio is theater of the mind. You can present your information with imagination. If you want to get your message across, get your message across the airways with radio. Call them. They will come right over. Remember, you got to go with radio when you want to advertise. There are lots of stations just your size.
I'm Frederick Penny, host of Radio Law Talk, the most exciting, entertaining, and sometimes informative radio show on earth. Listen to us live on KAHI, the voice of the foothills, every Saturday morning, 9 to noon, here on FM 104.5 and AM 950. You can also find us on KAHI.com and the KAHI app. Remember, that's Radio Law Talk, live 9 to noon every Saturday. Right here on KAHI, AM and FM, the voice of the foothills.
Thunder, feel the thunder.
It's the energy all around you.
Lightning and the thunder.
The thrill of the moments to come. The flash of lights. The rush of pure exhilaration. The roar of the crowd. See it, hear it, feel it.
Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder.
Thunder Valley Casino Resort. Feel the thunder.
At Sunrise Natural Foods, those 55 and better save 15% every Wednesday. And everyone can save on hundreds of products throughout the store every day. This month, all Life Extension products are 25% off, and all MRM vitamins and proteins are 35% off. And if you have any questions, just ask one of their product specialists, who are always happy to help you on your health journey in Auburn and Roseville or online at sunrisenaturalfoods.net. Remember, when it comes to health, experience matters.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, meal times, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available, because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988, a message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
On your to-do list, putting the radio on is the first thing today.
It is time to check in with the host of the Good for America podcast, chair for a good bit of the House Freedom Caucus in his days as a recovering congressman. He is Bob Good. Can we use that phrase? Is that a good phrase for you, Bob? A recovering congressman?
That may be a good way to refer to it. You know, the only thing less popular than members of Congress is the media and the IRS, so we're down near the bottom there. So
I have no IRS agents. So DHS deal apparently has been struck. Chuck Schumer says we got everything we want. John Thune says, no, you didn't. What's that line from Dire Straits? Two men say they're Jesus. One of them must be wrong. Did Chuck Schumer get everything he wanted, or did John Thune get everything he wanted in this shutdown deal?
I don't know if you could say everything for the Democrats, because obviously they would just as soon not have ICE, not have Border Patrol. The Democrats are obviously the party of open borders, the border invasion, believing everybody around the world, the 7 billion people plus who don't live here, have the right to be in the United States without limits. So they didn't get everything they want, but it was a victory for the Democrats, unquestionably. Republicans control all of government. If we go back in our little rewind machine here, you had a record 43-day Schumer shutdown, which no one on either side apparently had the stomach for another shutdown fight. And what did Republicans do to get out of the shutdown? They agreed to take DHS funding, Department of Homeland Security funding, out of the funding package, and they set up this situation that led to another partial shutdown fight just over DHS. And then they took it further, made it worse by we'll fund DHS, but we won't fund the objectionable part, to Democrats anyway, Border Patrol and immigration enforcement. So I think it's a win for the Democrats. Unfortunately, Republicans caved once again, and they're still not appropriately funded Border Patrol or immigration enforcement.
This highlights, I think, part of why Americans, you talk about the only thing less popular than Congress people are IRS agents and the media. This is part and parcel of it. Why? I mean, it's just, okay, if you have a problem with immigration customs enforcement, show me the immigration law that you want to change, and we'll change it. But nobody has the intestinal fortitude to do that, Bob. You served with them for years in Congress. Have you seen anyone with a proposal on new immigration laws that would change, how America works at the border, aside from getting behind a podium and saying, we just want our residents to be safe? Silliness like that.
Well, the Democrat proposal essentially, of course, they'll couch it in the terms of comprehensive immigration reform. And what they mean by that is allowing illegals to come here, being more generous with legal immigration, and allowing illegals who are here to stay here. That's what Democrats mean, allowing illegals who are here to stay here, the millions who are here, and not deporting them for being here illegally. And they want to be very generous with allowing more to come in here because, again, at the end of the day, they think they're undocumented Democrats and that they'll help them retain their power or retake their power.
What about the fear that this is all leading to another, Reagan, John McCain amnesty situation where it's, okay, this time we really mean it. This time for sure we won't let anyone else in if you just let everyone who's here stay. Because that's a lot of folks fear that, Bob.
Great reason to fear that. And I think it's a legitimate fear. You've got Republicans to some degree surrendering to the Democrat narrative that ICE in particular, but Border Patrol as well, that their functions, their tasks, their responsibilities are illegitimate. And so, hey, and you've got Republicans going soft and caving on the issue increasingly. You got trying to put a nicer face on ICE, nice ICE, I guess, under new DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin, who, by the way, to your point, supported Obama's amnesty for DACA dreamers back in 2013 when he was new in Congress. Markwayne Mullin, the new DHS Secretary, supported Obama's amnesty proposal back, 13 years ago. In addition, he has said that he wants to require judicial warrants instead of administrative warrants when you're trying to arrest illegals, to make it harder to arrest, detain, and deport them. President Trump has called for letting illegals stay if they're working in the hospitality industry, restaurants and hotels, or if they're working on farms. So there's great reason to fear what you just asked.
Well, but what message does that say? We're here. It's CPAC. And by the way, I should mention our CPAC broadcast brought to you by the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org, as well as their Historic Sites Registry, and our friends at the Virginia Institute for Public Policy and CFACT, the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. But here at CPAC, I mean, this is supposedly about conserving Western civilization. What in any of that accomplishes that? It seems like this is just another instance where you break the law. We'll decide, okay, we get it, and just don't do it the next time. We're becoming so lawless in this country. I don't know how we turn the wheel back.
Great point. And part of the problem is, while the president is doing a great job with temporarily closing the border, temporarily enforcing the border, temporarily stopping the border invasion when millions came across under Joe Biden, temporary is the key there, because he has not pushed Congress to pass immigration reform in the sense that, to codify into law the policies that he has put in place to go to not just protecting the border, but go to a more America First, merit-based immigration system where we're more careful about who we let in, what the qualifications are to come into this country, in addition to building the wall. Joe, you're not hearing anything about border wall construction. That needs to be accomplished this year, because next year you can't count on funding for that purpose next year if Democrats take back the House and, or God forbid, the Senate.
And you bring that up, and that's an important thing, Bob. Bob Good is on with us, the host of the Good for America podcast. What's coming up this week before we get down into another rabbit hole?
We're going to talk about the Supreme Court with the rumors of Judge Alito and even Judge Thomas potentially retiring and how important that is. Remember, we got Judge Alito after people like Chip Roy stepped in the gap and killed the nomination of Harriet Miers, who would have been a disaster by Bush, by the way. And because conservatives rose up and fought that, we got Sam Alito. We need to make sure that when President Trump does appoint conservative jurists, justices, I should say, if there's an opportunity or two on the court this coming year, or this year, I should say. But we'll talk about DHS funding, just like we're talking about now. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Iran war as well, of course.
And a couple of those things are on my to-do list with you, Bob. Right. And you know, when you talk though about the Supreme Court, just your view of some of the rulings just this past week, and some of them are district court, and they will wind their way up to the Supreme Court. But President Trump's and this is my feeling on it is that Supreme Court justices are supposed to look at the eccentricities of a case, and in a lot of cases it's about how the case was written originally, but they have come down with some puzzling ruling.
My name is Bobby. I'm a veteran and lost my leg to a roadside bomb. My victory was going from a wheelchair to becoming a weightlifting champion.
I'm Sam. I'm a veteran. My victory was finding a career I can be proud of and supporting my family.
America's veterans are on their most important tour, the tour of their lives.
I'm a veteran. My victory was going from homeless to home.
At DAV, we're on a mission to help veterans get the benefits they've earned.
I'm a veteran, and my victory was finishing my education.
DAV offers veterans of all generations a lifetime of support for victories great and small.
My victory was proving that disability is not a limitation.
My victory was getting my service dog a new best friend.
We help more than 1 million veterans every year as they face and conquer their challenges.
My victory is being able to be there for my family.
When America's veterans win, we all win. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
FM 104.5, K283CM, Auburn, and AM 950, KAHI, Auburn.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. The House Ethics Committee has found that Democratic Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick of Florida committed 25 ethics violations. She faces possible expulsion from Congress. The committee said it would recommend a punishment in the coming weeks. Congress is moving closer to funding the Department of Homeland Security. The weeks-long budget impasse has meant TSA and other federal workers have gone without pay. The Senate voted overnight to restore most DHS funding except for immigration enforcement. It now goes to the House. There are media reports that the Pentagon is considering sending up to 10,000 U.S. troops to the Middle East. Here's the BBC's Sebastian Usher.
President Trump continues to keep all options open, and therefore both Iran and the wider world getting at his intentions. The report in the Wall Street Journal that 10,000 more troops could be sent to the region is an indication that further military escalation is still on the cards, although the number of U.S. forces is still nowhere near what a full ground offensive would need.
A Florida man who fled to China and his sister have been charged after an explosive device was left outside a gate at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. U.S. Attorney Greg Keogh.
We have 3 indictments before you. Alan Zhang, he's charged with attempted damage of government property by explosive, making a destructive device, and possession of a destructive device. He faces 40 years. And Mary Zhang, his sister, is charged with being an accessory after the fact, tampering with evidence. She faces 30 years. And Mr. Elder is charged with making a threat of an explosive, and he faces 10 years.
Audio courtesy of WFTS. Stocks continue to slide on Wall Street. The Nasdaq is down more than 1% in today's trading. The Dow down nearly 400 points. Townhall.com.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven you can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Mortgage rates are heading higher again.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage rose this week to just under 6.4%. That's the highest level in more than 6 months. Only 4 weeks ago, the average rate had dropped to its lowest level in 3.5 years at just below 6%. When mortgage rates rise, they drive up borrowing costs for home buyers. While still down from a year ago, the recent rise in mortgage rates threatens to dampen the spring home buying season. I'm Alex Vega.
The runway where a plane collided with a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport has reopened. The destroyed Air Canada plane and the truck were towed from the crash site late Wednesday. The 2 pilots were killed in Sunday's crash. Roughly 40 people were treated for injuries. The bodies of the 2 pilots repatriated to Canada. In Montreal, hundreds of pilots and flight staff waited in the rain, lined up in front of the airline's headquarters. News and analysis at townhall.com. Correspondent Keith Peters tells us that Washington, D.C.'s cherry blossoms have reached their peak bloom.
The National Park Service says the flowering blooms hit their peak on Thursday, meaning 70% of the Yoshino cherry blossoms are open. The Park Service says this timing is typical for late March and early April. The blooms last only a few days. Cool, calm weather helps them stay, but rain, wind, or heat can strip petals fast. The National Cherry Blossom Festival runs for 4 weeks with music and Japanese cultural events. Keith Peters, Washington.
The Major League Baseball season is in full swing now, and L.A. Dodgers star Shohei Ohtani has the most popular jersey heading into 2026. It's the 3rd straight year his jersey has topped the list. He's not alone. Among Dodgers, 2 of his teammates from L.A. are in the top 5. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now, where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
KAHI AM and FM is once again your foothills home of Sacramento Kings basketball and Sharks hockey.
He winds up and throws down the jam of the night.
Join Gary Gerald for every Kings game this season on FM 104.5 and 950 AM. Your home for the Kings and Sharks.
Two-hand jam has me on my feet.
He said, what do you think about the dope problem? And I said, definitely, I feel we have too many dopes.
First Thing Today by Joe Thomas on the Talk Media Network. All natural and free of artificial intelligence.
Joe works at steel mill. Leaves for work when the sun comes up. Drops a kid to school along the way. Joe has everything he dreamed of. All the treasures that he needs. No wonder Joe's always smiling. He only aims to please you. Let me be your Joe.
Thank you for letting me be of service to you this morning and every morning.
I wanna be your Joe.
Live from CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, brought to you from the Virginia Institute for Public Policy studios here in Dallas, sponsored by CFAC, the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow at cfac.org. Paul Dreesen coming up from CFAC with us and more of our exclusive coverage of CPAC. You got to be careful with that. Brought to you by Heritage, the Heritage Foundation, heritage.org, and all the work they do in helping make sure not just the leaders in our community, but those who support those leaders know what's going on and know best practices stepping forward, including the Heritage Guide to Historic Places, a handy tool going into the 250th anniversary of America. So when you go on your tours and you go start checking out some of these places, you won't find yourself in the midst of a woke lecture about things. I got this email. I want to get into this. What point, Joe, do these conferences like CPAC, what function do they serve? It's a good question. What purpose do they serve? I'm not going to do it right here. We only have a minute before we have to get our first things on, but we will break into your question as to what purpose they serve and why. We do one really big one in the conservative movement, CPAC, whereas I think the progressive brand takes this model and makes it happen a billion little micro conferences that happen. And you can call them a million things, whether you call them block parties or, meetups or coffee clatches or bridge tournaments. The progressive movement is much better at meeting than the conservative movement. We have this one big, 4-day long, it's an explosion of conservatism, and we get out there. But we'll delve into that further in a moment. But our first things is a deal on the table for the end of the partial government shutdown. John Thune says we won. Chuck Schumer says we won, as both sides say they will now have some funding for DHS, but not ICE. ICE has been broken out. John Thune told the press that they had already front-loaded ICE funding into the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. Meanwhile, President Trump signed an emergency order saying that they will continue to pay Homeland Security, and he'll immediately start paying Transportation Security Administration agents, even if they have come to a deal. He wants to get money in their pockets right now. Some ICE agents have begun checking travelers' identification documents at airports as they come in to help fill in some of the staffing shortfalls from TSA, leading left-wing media outlets to scream that this is going to make people scared to fly with ICE agents at the airport terminals. Bill Maher has been named the winner of the Mark Twain Prize for American Humor. This is an annual award given out by the Trump Kennedy Center. The comedian won the award. Forever longer, Bill has been an influence in American discourse. Kennedy Center Vice President for Public Relations Roma Daravi said, Bill Maher issued this statement, just had the award explained to me, and apparently it's just like an Emmy, except in this case, I win. European Parliament voted Thursday to approve a trade deal between Washington and the EU. The terms are a 15% flat tariff and an opportunity for both sides to back out if conditions, as the contract says, change. Secretary of State Marco Rubio should be in Europe now, in France, to meet with the G7 leaders, where he's going to discuss not just the war in Ukraine, but the bombings of Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, where Rubio, as he left for the G7 summit, told the press the idea that it isn't Europe's war is wrong. The, quote, other countries get far more of their fuel from there than we do. President Trump said Thursday that the present he received was that Iran's government let 10 oil tankers, including some from Pakistan, who's apparently the intermediary in the 15-point plan negotiations, let 10 oil tankers through the Strait of Hormuz as a goodwill gesture. And those are some of our first things on this Friday morning.
Hi, this is Bud Foster, co-host of Foster and Friends and former Virginia Tech football coach. When I brought the famed lunch pail to our team, it symbolized teamwork. The word win stood for what's important now. The Lunch Pail Defense Foundation realizes the importance of helping others. Our foundation is a nonprofit corporation that helps fund academic scholarship for eligible high school students. Since 2009, the Lunch Pail Defense Foundation has raised nearly $400,000 and awarded over 40 individual scholarships. We also support an organ transplant program in conjunction with Duke University Medical Center. For information regarding corporate sponsorship or becoming an individual supporter, log on to our site at lunchpaildefense.com. It's always been important to win, especially when we're helping others.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard joining MediShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
When your mind creates an image, it's vivid. When your mind imagines a smell,
the bread, she's already.
it's as enticing as being in the kitchen. And when your mind interprets a sound, you're standing there watching the action. Radio, the medium that works with your mind. Radio paints the picture. Radio touches the senses. Radio constructs the vision you'd never see. When radio is used creatively, effectively, it brings sight, sound, and feelings to everyone. Use radio for your message. There's no better way to get the word out. Call this station for details. On radio, the medium that works with your mind.
Tune in to the KAHI Corral every Saturday at 7 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
I did a petting zoo on the top floor of a skyscraper.
No.
Wait, they had the windows open because it's an old building. They don't have any air conditioning.
So I'm still creeped out because I think animals fell out the windows, but they didn't.
Well, Reno did. He was on the windowsill with his head out the window.
Did he come when you called him?
Very slowly, grabbed him and pulled him back in and closed the windows.
Listen in to Connie and the Gang, and you'll never know what you're gonna find. Everything from pets in the studio, oh yeah, that's a real thing, to the advice you've come to count on. So join Connie and a cast of thousands on the KAHI Corral Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. here on 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
No spin, just facts. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here, inviting you to join me every evening at 7 on KAHI AM and FM. Monday through Friday at 7, the No Spin News. You will like it. No spin, just facts on KAHI, always looking out for you.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Leanne Womack. I fell in love with country music as a child listening to my dad spin records at a radio station. I always dreamed of hearing my own songs on the radio. I set a goal and achieved it. You can do anything if you set your mind to it. Never let anyone tell you it's impossible. So if you have the chance to sit it out or dance, I hope you dance.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Hi, this is Dr. Dahlia, and I'm thrilled to announce that I've joined the KAHI radio team. Each weekday morning from 9 to noon, I'm live on KAHI. We tackle issues like cholesterol, diabetes, women's health, children, geriatrics, relationships, and more. And with all that's going on in Washington, we even touch on government and policies impacting your health. The Dr. Dahlia Show is also a live call-in medical talk show that answers your questions on the air. Join me, Dr. Dahlia, Monday through Friday from 9 to noon here on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
Friday weather forecast, a mix of sun and clouds in the mid to upper 70s. Today, southwest wind about 10 miles per hour. Partly to mostly clear skies and the low 50s overnight. Looks like the dry, sunny weather is going to last into the weekend. Temperatures well into the 70s, close to 80 Saturday and Sunday, and light breezes over the course of the weekend. We'll keep you updated. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
For you, from Joe Thomas, it's First Thing Today.
You know, here at CPAC, it brought to you by Heritage Foundation and our friends at the Virginia Institute for Public Policy, as well as CFACT.org. You don't get to meet people who founded a bank every day. It is the Old Glory Bank, and it's founded in part by, listen to these folks, John Rich and Larry Elder, Ben Carson. It's led by Ed Olhausen. Ed, thank you for coming. So what made you want to start your own bank? Because this is a special kind of bank for Americans, isn't it?
Great question. Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to talk to your audience about Old Glory Bank. It started back about 2020 when I got the idea. Felt the great need for America to have a bank that was unabashedly pro-America, that would support its military and police, that would not cancel its customers for the reviews or the industry they operate in, and would also protect the propriety, the confidentiality of transaction data. And some of the big banks were doing some egregious things in recent years.
Well, when I saw your story, and it reminded me of Cuomo the Younger, the emperor of New York there for a while, going after the gun sellers by unbanking them, saying just don't take their credit card information.
That's right. No, just egregious. And we've really set out, and as you mentioned, there's some great patriots involved with Old Glory Bank. Once we started circulating the idea of a bank that would address the needs and interests and values of, we think, at least half this country, drew the attention of Secretary Ben Carson and Larry Elder, Sean Spicer, former press secretary in the first Trump administration. All three of those individuals are on our board and are co-founders of mine with the bank. Country singer John Rich also very early on got involved with Old Glory Bank as a co-founder.
And everybody think John just starts these bars in places like Las Vegas and Orlando.
Now he does have some fun places to visit and some things to enjoy, but wonderful patriot and could not be a better spokesman
and
for
a good
the bank.
businessman. See, all these folks, when you talk about them, we know Sean Spicer for his political work, and Dr. Carson certainly, but you're talking about people who understand the American point of starting something, maybe not making it the first time, but being able to come back and try again, which is the American dream, which is, I've got something. Edison is a great example of it, although later in life he became a great crony capitalist. But, the idea, we need a way to light up our house, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to try, and I'm going to fail. Somebody had to be able to support him in those efforts, and that's where American banking is so important.
It is. It's we take the position. It's very similar, analogous to free speech. Is that if you're principled about supporting free speech, you of course will support the right of others to say things that you don't necessarily agree with. And similarly, with Old Glory Bank, rather than just say, hey, let's form a bank that cancels the other side, we felt truly financial liberty is what we're after and what this country needs. And so really our view is, so long as you're lawfully operating, you should have the right to be able to participate in our financial system. And it's up to the legislature to come up with what is legal and not.
Now that's heresy right there, don't you? America in 2026 is, we don't legislate laws, we just tell the police, enforce whatever you feel like.
Exactly.
Come on, John. It's like, so what are some of the things about Old Glory Bank that make it different? Certainly your belief in our ability to make and then keep and be safe with our money. Talk about the privacy concerns. I know that you work in the crypto world a lot. That's a volatile roller coaster too.
Yeah. So let me first point out to the listeners, while we are a Oklahoma State chartered bank, we have a fully digital online banking presence. And so I would say 99.9% of our customers will never step foot into the one branch in Oklahoma. They're certainly welcome there, and it's a great place to go. But we are a digital first bank. So wherever you're living, and we have customers in all 50 states, individuals and small businesses. We bring on several hundred new small businesses every month, and thousands of individuals. So
it's spelled Thomas Media, THOMAS.
Yes.
Well, in the traditional fashion.
Right. So oldglorybank.com, people can go. And I point that out so that when people hearing about Old Glory Bank, it applies to anyone listening. We'd love to have them. So what differentiates us, first of all, is a set of values. And I think if you people in this country are tired of supporting companies that flat out hate their way of life and their views and so forth. Old Glory Bank, you can be quite certain in our DNA is that we are proud supporters of our country, of our flag and what it represents, our military and first responders, and it goes well beyond just kind of waving the flag, as great of a thing that is and something we're proud to do. We really do try to walk the talk. For example, with our military and first responders, so long as you are a customer of Old Glory Bank and you are a military member, any branch or police or firefighter on the first responder side, for free you receive a $100,000 line of duty death benefit, which, God forbid, should something happen to that individual in the line of duty, if they're a customer of Old Glory Bank, we along the way have been paying the premium for a policy for the benefit of their family members. So that's just one example where we really try to tangibly deliver things for that audience. And of course, to those who are not what we call a protector, maybe a family member of yours is in the service. Of course, our commitment there is come to the bank that protects those who protect you. And so something we're proud of. Something also tangible is our commitment to never cancel a customer for their views or the industry they operate in. You mentioned firearms. That's a great example. I'm a firearms owner. I'm a hunter. I buy ammunition. I can't use PayPal to buy ammunition because in their terms of service, in the same paragraph that they outlaw or prohibit transactions involving illegal drugs and stolen property, thirdly is firearms and ammunition.
How did we get here? Eric, how did we wind up in a place where and maybe it is overly centralized. When we used to get and we would fight monopolies, like Standard Oil. Well, I can't get oil because I can't get it from Standard Oil because they won't sell it to me. this is one of the points I've made about being overly centralized. You limit yourself to these platforms. Luckily, some other groups, Venmo and some of these other places, are starting up that can offer transactions. But I mean, this is Elon Musk's baby. This is where Elon's money came from, was PayPal. Yet the people who've taken it over have fallen prey to the woke.
All the founders of PayPal have really spoken out. David Sachs, Elon Musk, as you mentioned, and just say it's egregious and just, they're crushed to see what PayPal has evolved into. The big banks as well, B of A, Chase, Citi, Wells Fargo, all have been shown, and not just kind of reports, but congressional testimony of their canceling of customers for their views.
Eric Olhauser, the co-founder of Old Glory Bank, with us here on the Radio Row here at CPAC this morning.
Hey guys, I'm Teddy Savage, National Lead Trainer for Planet Fitness, and the American Heart Association recommends that we all get at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity in a week's time. But here's the thing, that 150 minutes does not need to be super intense. As a matter of fact, it could just be you moving your body and doing what you already love to do, like exercise. And a stronger heart doesn't just mean cardio, right? It means also infusing your workout routines with strength training as well. So we are super excited to be launching our new plate-loaded strength series in all of our gyms. It's already fitted in 1,700 locations, with the goal to have all 2,700 fitted by the end of 2025. So if you need more information, go to our website at planetfitness.com, or better yet, download our free Planet Fitness app. And with convenient locations all around the world and most of our gyms being open 24 hours, there's bound to be one close by you.
For decades, America's offshore oil industry has relied on Port Fourchon, Louisiana. But now, as wind energy continues to grow, many of these vessels, these companies, these people are building and servicing the offshore wind industry. Moving equipment, installing turbines, transporting crews, it's a huge opportunity, and we're proud to be a part of that.
U.S. offshore wind has already announced over $25 billion in infrastructure investments. Learn more at cleanpower.org. Sponsored by the American Clean Power Association.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month. You can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your healthcare, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
Auburn's department store, McCullough's, has something for everyone. From the latest styles for men, women, and adorable kids' clothes and toys. They bring the best brands to the foothills. You can skip the big box store stress and the parking hassles. There's plenty of free parking at McCullough's with quality service and that classic neighborhood feel. Save time, gas, and money by shopping at McCullough's in the Auburn Town Center, right off of Elm.
Hello, Placer County. The weather is here. The ground is soaking it up, so we need to add some fertilizer and get some seed down. The babies and the mamas need feed and bedding, and that means you need to come on by to Placer Farm Supply. They've got what you need. And by the way, if you didn't get that jacket or coat you wanted for Christmas, stop on by and pick it up. In other words, if you need it, they've got it. And if they don't have it, just ask, and they will do their best to get it for you. Customer service is their #1 goal. We're local, and you are our neighbor. Placer Farm Supply, the best kept secret. Stop on by and say hi.
Hi, this is Andrew Twidwell, owner of ABT Plumbing, Electric, Heat, and Air. ABT has been in business since 2001, and we are thrilled to have been voted Auburn's best plumbing company and best heating and cooling company in Auburn Journal's Best of Auburn promotion. We're very proud to have placed as runner-up in electrical category as well. Our technicians are experienced and friendly. If you have an issue with your plumbing, need a whole house generator, or maybe your furnace isn't working, give ABT a call. Reach us at 530-230-9004 for excellent service. It really is as easy as ABT.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
You don't have to go to Africa to have a wildlife adventure. The Wildlife Care Association offers adventure, challenge, and satisfaction when you volunteer to care for injured birds and small animals. The nonprofit group is offering classes now for volunteers to assist Mother Nature in returning wildlife to our communities. Visit wildlifecareassociation.com or call 916-965-WILD and get your adventure going.
can't believe we have to make this commercial.
It's ridiculous.
You'll think it's ridiculous too. Listen to this.
This commercial is about, well, it's about parents being rude at high school athletic events.
Ridiculous, right?
It gets worse. Studies show more than 75% of new high school officials are quitting because of bad adult behavior.
So now there's a shortage of refs here in California. In almost all sports.
No officials means no more games.
Is that what you want for us?
Come on, parents.
It's time to grow up.
Cheer for your team.
Be proud of your children.
But stop being so ridiculous.
And don't make us run another commercial.
Because we will.
This message presented by the California Interscholastic Federation and the California State Athletic Directors Association, reminding you to always practice good sportsmanship.
Listen to the Garden Goddesses Saturday morning at 8 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
If you want to be kept in the plant know, join us on our radio show. The Garden Goddesses, Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. on the one and only KAHI Radio, AM 950, FM 104.5, the Voice of the Foothills. Call in to win a prize from Green Acres Nursery and Supply.
Here's Jimmy J, DJ of the Stars.
BB Bumble and the Stingers, Martha Hoople, Ray Charles Singers, Lonnie Mack and Twang and Eddie. Here's my ring. We're going stop. Ooh, I didn't realize the mic was on. Hi, this is Jimmy J. How you doing? Join me every Saturday at 8 p.m. right here on KAHI. I have the stars you grew up with, some great music, and I promise I won't sing. So join me this Saturday, 8 p.m. for Rewind, right here on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
Making mornings great again. First thing today on the Talk Media Network by Joe Thomas.
Here at CPAC 2026, live from Texas, where we've come to see what's going on and the agenda for today. They've got some great stuff coming up here. Governor of Texas, Greg Abbott's going to be one of the speakers. There's also going to be a tribute to Charlie Kirk just before 11 o'clock local time, which will be 10:50 or so Central Time. There also a MAHA survival guide with some of the folks from the administration, especially in terms of the Centers for Medicaid Study. Dr. Oz is coming today. The Walk Away campaign is going to be on the stage today, and we've got more coverage for you coming tomorrow as well, and in part brought to you by our friends at CFAC, the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow. Paul Driesen is on with us there. Paul, how are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hang on one second, Paul, here. We got a technical difficulty. Now we can get Paul in here. I appreciate that, Paul. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on the show.
Not at all, not at all. So tell us, in a little bit, what is CFAC up to right now? I know that you've been working on another piece on energy independence, which I think strikes right at the chord where everything is, especially what's going on in the Middle East. Tell us what's happening there.
In the Middle East or with CFAC?
Well, your piece on energy independence, and, we hear it as a political phrase, and, we hear it going on, as some, almost like a slogan, but, it really means something when you say we're looking for energy independence in the United States. It has real meaning.
It certainly does. If you just look at gasoline prices, it's a good indicator. Kansas and Missouri, Oklahoma, North Dakota, which produce a lot of their own oil and natural gas, they're paying $3.10 a gallon. Texas, $3.60. California, $5.80 per gallon on average. And California is not energy independent. They could be, but they're not. They have more oil and more gas available to them if they wanted to produce it and refine it, but they don't. So they are importing 60% of their gasoline, and 40% of it comes from the Bahamas. It's actually refined in the U.S. Gulf Coast, and then it goes all the way to the Bahamas so it can be loaded onto ships, tanker ships that can avoid the Jones Act. Then it goes down the coast to the Panama Canal and up to California. It's just insane, and they're doing this because California doesn't want oil drilling. They don't want refining. They don't care what their people pay for gasoline. Their plan was to have everybody driving electric vehicles in California, and that's not going to happen because of the price of electric vehicles, their shortcomings, and the fact that electric vehicles require massive amounts of metals and minerals that we don't produce here in the United States either.
Paul, and one of the things that I think listeners listening to this saying, hold it, I thought energy independence was a national thing, not just a state-by-state thing. So talk about, how California, we've seen their regulations. Virginia, where our flagship station is slaved to some of these crazy regulations. Talk about, how each state can push their own energy independence, whether the national government is able to achieve it or not, because you're talking about gas prices right now. Everyone's pointing at the Strait of Hormuz, where the insurance companies won't back these tankers going through there because Iran is saber rattling. But some of this isn't directly connected to that, is it?
No, it's not. Not for us, anyway. We're not dependent on the Middle East anymore for natural gas or oil. In fact, we are producing more oil in the United States than Saudi Arabia or Russia. And we're producing more natural gas than any other country in the world. But so every state in the U.S. could benefit from this, but California has chosen not to. New York is another state that has chosen not to. They don't want to frack for natural gas in New York, and they're right next to Pennsylvania. So Pennsylvania could be supplying natural gas to New York so that they can have natural gas power plants and greatly reduce their electricity prices. But New York doesn't want any pipelines from Pennsylvania to the state of New York. So people in New York, New Jersey, that whole area there are paying far higher electricity prices than the rest of the country.
Paul, I know your background. When we talk about energy independence, we're also talking about economic freedom and opportunity. I know you've written a lot on human rights. I mean, they're not unconnected, because if you have freedom and opportunity, then you also have the opportunity for individuals to follow their own path and find human rights, not in the way the left means it, which is, whatever the government decides you filled out enough forms for.
No, that's absolutely true, and that's such an important point you're making. Paul Ehrlich, who just died a week or so ago, was in cahoots with Don Holdren, who was President Obama's so-called science advisor, and they were telling people that we had to de-develop and de-industrialize the United States and the entire developed world, and then tell the rest of the world, Africans who are still living in mud and thatch huts, what level of economic and other development they would be permitted to have. It's just insane when you try to tell people who are the most impoverished in the world, the most malnourished, that they're only going to have a certain amount of development in their future. But this is where the environmentalists want to take us now.
Yeah,
and I was involved in the very first Earth Day way back in 1970. I helped organize programs on my college campus. We had major environmental problems back then, but we solved them over the years. Air and water pollution, for example. And then the environmental movement started shifting more and more to crazier and crazier things that they claim threaten our lives and our fortunes, our health, and so forth. But they're embedded problems. They are minor problems, and especially when you compare them to the problems, the health and environmental problems the rest of the world in the poor developing countries still actually have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's funny.
I see that as eco-imperialism and even racism on the part of the environmental movement.
But, they're the same people that will claim American empire if we go and try to finally, break Iran's population free from its dictatorship. But we're the ones trying to make empire. They're the ones who are out in all these other countries trying to tell them how they should live. And it never works out. If you've ever seen the documentary, Poverty Inc. is the name of the documentary, Poverty Inc., and it details how all of these do-gooder programs actually devastate local economies.
Well, absolutely. And it goes beyond that because the same people pushing those programs are pushing the wind and solar power that takes far more natural resources, metals and minerals, far more land, kills millions of birds and bats every year. And once you've built all of that and all the excess transmission lines, you still have to have backup power. So you have to double your investment in all of this to have power when you need it and not just when it's available. The crazy thing is that on a hot summer day or a frigid cold winter night, there is virtually no solar or wind plenty of solar, but very little wind output.
Right.
And certainly no solar at night. So if you don't have these other resources, nuclear power, hydroelectric power, natural gas powered power plants, and coal.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
From border to border, from sea to shining sea, more than 61,000 ordinary American citizens are serving their communities every day as a member of the Civil Air Patrol, the official auxiliary of the United States Air Force. From disasters large and small, natural and man-made, we answer the call to serve. To find out more information or to find a unit near you, log on now. Go Civil Air Patrol.